With faith, you can achieve anything. You don't have to be great or to be powerful people. It is just to have faith and believe in your dreams.
It is not a question, did they need the church? Maybe the question is, were they going to make it?
So for me, this church is home.
It gives me hope, it gives me grace and strength to soldier on in this pilgrim of life.
This area has grown tremendously, from Garden Estate to Dome to Marurui. As people now started moving here, we have gone from a farm area to a very densely populated suburban. This was a Jumuiya of Queen of Apostles. It went from a Jumuiya to an outstation.
Those days, there was a charge of where Christians were assembled for masses, for their meetings, and generally for their gatherings that are spiritual, like celebrating masses and what have you.
I was one of the Christians who formed St. Gabriel Jumuiya. We were all sent out to go and look for possible plots we could purchase. And I identified this plot very early because we used to pass here to Garden Estate, but it was completely empty. Our idea was that whatever property we buy, it must be near enough the Dome, because that is where the Dome Christians were, and we did not want to send them going to other places.
When we met with the Indian who was selling this plot, I was asked to pay 25 million. And when we were asked to pay 25 million for the plot, we could only afford 10. So the 10 million was agreed, and then within the 90 days, we only managed to raise 1.4 million shillings. We consulted with the parish, with the archdiocese, and we told them our dilemma. So they actually, the archdiocese agreed to grant us 3 million shillings. The parish and also archdiocese, they gave us a soft loan of 4.6 million shillings. So by 2nd July of 2008, we were able to complete the transaction. By September 2008, the title was out. So I mobilized the funds from the members, and it wasn't the easiest job. That is where I was very unpopular, because I came up with a figure of 85,000. I picked the figure from a division of 5.5 million. We thought that is the money we required to buy the plot. We divided by a number from there, it was about 200, and I came up with a figure of 85,000.
When they started the church in early years, 2008, 2009, of course, we started from the tent.
We used to put up the tent and remove it. So every Sunday, the youth would, I think it was CMA who would put it, and then the youth would remain and take it down. I remember there was a time when it rained completely and we couldn't enter the church. And we had to be transported by a pickup.
When we decided to have mass taking place here, we used to donate items, like even altar. We used to bring tables from our homes. We used to bring even crucifix and baskets for offertory.
The spacing was an issue, and also with that space, the way we animate the mass, of course, that would be affected. And also looking at the infrastructure of the tent, you find if it's raining, then we are there with the rains and with the winds. And then also when it's too hot, it was also an issue.
And therefore, as a priest, also you are somehow squeezed, and even the size of the altar, where you are placing the main celebrant and the altar server's chair, it was kind of squeezed, all things crammed together because of the size of the tent. Therefore, I would say that that temporary structure for worship, it served the purpose, but certainly it is not satisfactory, and that is why people are willing and passionate about building a new church.
What brought us here is the fact that we wanted to be futuristic. We were very particularly keen to see a church that will have the size that will fit the neighborhood work, because this is an estate that was coming up. So we were so keen to go to that level. So the bigger the building, the better.
What started in 2009 is what you're seeing here today, a magnificent church with 3 levels, and with some social area in terms of the meeting rooms, sacristy, in terms of adoration chapel. We have a PMC, youth ministry, and we have meeting areas and a conference hall.
My biggest activity was actually fundraising.
I remember we planted trees. We had car washes, a lot of I am an expert car washer now. We had a lot of concerts. So we would do Christmas concerts and we would do them with PMC.
We had 2 dinner dances. Both of them were very successful. We had a golf competition at Windsor, including a breakfast meeting there. Then we had walks from here around to Kiambu Road back.
I remember a time where we used to print brick-like structures on a piece of paper and cut them out, and one was going for 50, and we had the motto, buy a brick.
When we identified the architect, the idea was to have a concept of a church that would be unique in itself, but embrace the traditional values as well as Christian values.
St. Gabriel is archangel. So the front shows the face of St. Gabriel. And the architect said, an archangel is not an ordinary angel, so it has to be momentum. It has to be high. The north wing and the south wing represent the wings of the angel. And now the shape of the head had to be like that.
The groundbreaking here was one of the biggest challenge because of the fact that this place was meshy. We needed to excavate deep enough.
I can tell you for a fact that the foundation of this church are very strong. So the soil was leveled. We brought in maram, we brought in hardcore. It was compacted, and then we suspended this floor. There is a lot of steel work here. Now the other challenge we had was from the second gallery to get to the roof. Why? Because of the height. Remember, it is 44 meters. So hiring that machine to bring, to concrete those things there, the columns you see on top, was not an easy thing. But we didn't have a choice. Then when it is fitted like this, the engineer says, no, you have put in the wrong place, so it has to be changed. Trouble. But they struggled with the roof until they fixed it.
As far as construction of this church, the windows were the most challenging. Now, these windows are special. Why are they special? We are talking of 2 windows. 2 leaves of windows, each 5 millimeter, 5 millimeter. And in between you have a lamination. They are extremely heavy. You throw a stone, they won't break. And they proved to be very expensive. At the design level with the liturgical team, we were able to come up with a very good design.
Whatever has been done in this church is intentional. It is based on theology. It is to enhance worship. If you look at the other sides, we have the 12 apostles. And the way we have organized them and arranged them, we are starting from the oldest apostle. That's Peter. Then we have come to the last one. That's Matthias. On the other end, we have now the latter-day saints.
I'm very proud of the position of the altar of this church. And the reason being, we were very quick to do the galleries. We had not thought through about the positioning of this altar. I can tell you for a fact that it was demolished more than 4 times. But we wanted everyone who comes to this church to have a general view and a good view of the altar, or what is happening at the altar.
I can say that the altar symbolizes Christ himself. There are 2 altars here. We have the main altar there, where Christ is sacrificed. And then we have the smaller altar called the Abba, where the word of God is proclaimed.
And also the tabernacle, the marble around the tabernacle, it really shows that we have given God the best.
In terms of the confession, we have those confessionals, and therefore the church in its wisdom has put up these physical structures for people to be comfortable when they do their confession.
I'm very fulfilled, very satisfied, very happy about what the Christians of St. Gabriel Dome have done. It gives me so much satisfaction and fulfillment. And it shows me and shows us how the power of coming together, the power of faith, the power of patience and perseverance. So this is what we preach. This is what the Word of God encourages us to do, to persevere, to be patient, to serve the Lord with gladness. And I have seen that in this church.